Hello students, in the previous class we saw the basics of literature and concluded the session with a reading of The Lake Isle of Innisfree. Today, let's try to cover the background of the poet, context in which the poem can be read and the deeper meaning of the poem. So W.B. Yeats, also known as William Butler Yeats, is an Irish poet. He is considered as one of the greatest poets of the 20th century. Yeats had a strong inclination to his Irish roots. He felt strongly attracted towards his country's music, folklore, and books. Apart from being a strong Irish nationalist, he also felt a strong inclination towards occultism and ritual magic. What is occultism? Or clearly, what is the meaning of the word occult? So, occult means something that is related to magical powers and activities such as witchcraft. So, an occult book means a book about such magical powers. As I said earlier, Eliot felt a strong inclination towards such occult practices, so much so that his own works and his poems all have a very mysterious quality to them. Moving on to the poem, the Lake Isle of Innisfree is an actual place near the Irish coast. What do you mean by isle? Isle means a small island. So what you're seeing in your screen is the Lake Isle of Innisfree where Yeats so wanted to go. The Lake Isle of Innisfree is written in 1893 while Yeats was in London. So let's take a look at the first line of the first stanza. I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree. The poet emphasizes or highlights that he will now arise and go now. Why should he use go twice in the same line? By using go twice, he shows us how important it is for him to leave London City and get back to the Isle of Innisfree. While writing the poem, Yeats was residing in London and we clearly saw that he loves his country very much. Wherever he be, Yeats always wanted to get back to his own country. That is why he stresses that he wanted to go back to Innisfree. Not only to go to Innisfree, but to build a small cabin made of simple clay and wattles. He will grow 9 bean rows and a small hive for honeybee. He will live there all alone in this bee loud glade. So what is the meaning of bee loud glade? What is the meaning of glade first? Glade means an open area and a bee loud glade means an open area filled with the sound of buzzing bees. So in the second stanza, he moves further into imagining how pleasant it would be to be there. He says that I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. He emphasizes two particular words in the second stanza. He says that he will find peace in Innisfree because according to him, peace will drop slowly from the vales of the morning. Look at the imagery he used here. Why do we use veils? We use veils to cover our face, to protect it or to conceal it. So he says that peace will drop slowly from the hidden face of the morning and it will settle down on the place where cricket sings. He uses these two words, peace and dropping, to emphasize the meaning behind that. So the place where the cricket sings is obviously a peaceful place, like the woodlands or the forests or even the Lake Isle of Innisfree where he so dearly wants to go. Now look at the next two lines. He says that there midnight's all a glimmer and noon a purple glow and evening full of linnet's wings. What do you mean by glimmer? Glimmer means to shine faintly and softly. Imagine this, a dark night in a beautiful small island and you are the only person living there. You don't have any source of light except a small lamp in your cabin. So naturally, moon will be the only light source for you, the only big light source for you. Since you are living on the shore, the lake will be just a few feet away from your cabin. Moon shines softly over the lake and this makes the night not very dark. Moonlight also offers comfort and hope when you are surrounded by darkness. Yeats wants this kind of comfort from the nature. And noon a purple glow, this line indicates that the sun shines so brightly that the sky almost becomes purple. The last line, and evening full of the linnet's wings, indicates that even though Yeats is away from the human company, he has birds in the beautiful isle to give him company. Now look at the last stanza. I will arise and go now for always, night and day. I hear the lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore. In these two lines, we can see that he misses Ireland very much. He says desperately again that I will arise and go now because he feels like he could hear the sound of the Irish shores day and night. He feels like Ireland calls him back and taunts him with his happy memories he had as a child while he is standing on the roadway or on a grey pavement of the London city. He hears the happy sounds of the island in his deep heart score. Now, what do you mean by deep heart score? It is like a calling, and Ireland's memories are present well within Yeats's heart. So this poem is almost like a daydream. It's almost as if Yeats is standing on the roads of London, thinking about the possibility of going back to Ireland and spending his life in that quiet isle. This poem is also about absence. His absence in Ireland makes his life in London very miserable. He wants to leave the hustle and bustle of London to be one with the nature in Ireland. Moving on to placing the text in context, Lake Isle of Innisfree can be read in the context of Ireland's troubled history. So in order to understand the poem, it is important for us to know what happened in Ireland during Yeats's time. So during the 19th and 20th century, the political tension in Ireland was very high. Ireland was under the rule of Britain and Irish people did not like that. They wanted to declare Ireland as a separate nation. This tension among people and politicians led to a movement called Irish nationalism. This movement made people to go back to their Irish roots and celebrate their Irish way of life. Writers and artists promoted this idea so that their nation can have its own unique identity. And what identity is that? They strive to embrace their Celtic identity. The writers and artists of Ireland, Scotland and Wales started to show more importance to the language, art and mythology of their nation. The people from these parts of Europe are called as Celts. The Irish nationalism renewed the interest in their culture and it contributed to the Celtic revival or popularizing the Celtic culture. The most involved among the mentioned nations was Ireland. The Irish people started to embrace their Celtic culture, which was mostly connected with nature and its magical quality. The poets and other artists also started to create art which focuses on the Celtic culture and beliefs. This trend in Ireland later came to be known as the Irish Literary Revival, during which writers started to write about their Irish roots and the glory of Ireland. Keep in mind that during the 19th and 20th century, people saw a burst of modernization. The cities were becoming more posh. People started to move into the cities, abandoning the villages and towns, thereby moving away from nature. The Irish literary revival made people realize that they cannot find comfort solely in cities and the glamours of modern life. They started to realize their ancestors' way of life was much more peaceful. So, the Irish literary revival became a reaction against modernization. They also promoted the culture of Ireland. This is where Yeats comes in. He is a staunch Irish nationalist and he supported the Irish literary revival with his whole heart. That is the reason why this poem and most of his other works have strong Irish references. In the poem Lake Isle of Innisfree, Yeats tries to convey the peace and tranquility that he finds in Ireland. He glorifies the Irish nation and promotes Irish nationalistic ideas through this poem. He also embraces his Celtic culture, which looks at nature as a source of mystery. Remember the line, and peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the veils of the morning. So, covering something with a veil only adds to the mystery, right? He indicates that nature is mysterious in these lines. So, we have to read this poem and most other poems written by Yeats with reference to its historical context. Now we are going to look at the poetic devices used in this poem. What is a poetic device? A poetic device is a literary tool like alliteration, imagery, simile, etc. used by the poet to enhance the meaning of the poem to make the poem more interesting. So let us look at the poetic device of alliteration. Alliteration happens when words starting with the same sound occurs in a sentence or phrase. For example, kitty cat ate the chocolate. Here the words kitty and cat begins with the same k sound, so they are alliterated. Alliteration is used to give the poems more lyrical quality and song-like quality to catch the attention of the readers. I'll give you another example. Please put away your paint. Here the words please, put and paint are alliterated. In the poem, if you look at the first stanza, I and arise are alliterated. Cabin and clay start with the same k sound, and hence they are alliterated. So let's see what imagery is. So imagery is when poet creates a visual representation of what he talks about in the poem. Just look at the word imagery. Here it is the images created in our mind through the poem. So in this poem, it uses descriptions such as midnight saw a glimmer and noon a purple glow, evenings full of linnet's wings, etc. to create a beautiful imagery. Let's look at personification. Personification is when you attribute human characteristics to other creatures or non-living things. For example, look at the sentence, the wind howled in the night. The night danced in the sky. The sun is dressed in yellow. Here the words howled, danced and dressed all refer to human activities. People howl during sports events. People dance during celebrations. And people are the ones who dress up. So when we take all these human qualities and impose them upon wind, lightning and sun, it becomes personification. In the poem, Yeats has personified the fog-filled early morning as somebody wearing a veil. So here the early morning is personified. Lastly, let us look at the rhyme scheme of the poem. What do you mean by rhyme scheme? The simple definition of rhyme scheme is, I quote, the order, pattern of rhymes at the end of the lines of a poem or verse, unquote. So, a stanza in a poem that has a pattern of rhymes is called rhyme scheme. For example, look at the nursery rhyme. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. In these four verses, we could see that star and are the rhyming words here, and high and sky rhyme. So the rhyme scheme here is A B B. In Yeats' poem, let's look at the first stanza. I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin built there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee loud glade. So here Innisfree and honey bee are rhyming. So does maid and glade. So the rhyme scheme here would be A B A B. In the next stanza, slow and glow rhyme, and so does sings and wings. So the next stanza, the rhyme scheme will be C D C D. In the last stanza, day and grey rhyme, and so does shore and cold. So in the last stanza, the rhyme scheme will be E F E F. So the rhyme scheme of the poem is A B C D C D E F E F. Okay, let's do a quick recap. In this video, we saw that Yeats was inspired by Ireland's beauty and missed his motherland. He wanted to go back to Ireland, and his memory of Ireland made him write the poem The Lake Isle of Innisfree. The poet says that he will arise and go to Innisfree and will build a small cabin there to enjoy the peace that nature will offer him. He imagines all this while standing on the roadside of London. Then we saw Irish nationalism, what is meant by Celtic revival and the Irish literary revival. We saw the poem in the light of these historical and social situations. After that, we moved on to the poetic devices used in the poem. We saw what is alliteration, personification, imagery, and identified the rhyme scheme of the poem. And dear students, with this we conclude today's class. I'll send you the homework in your class group. I want everyone to complete it. Please email your homeworks to me. Thank you.